sometimes I just wonder, like, when you hear these people be like, oh, you could, double your income or lift like double the amount of weight or whatever, there's this immediate reaction of like, that's not true. That's not possible. And sometimes I wonder, like, has this almost like slowness or these constraints been like strategically programmed into society? Because I do feel like God has made us to just be so powerful. Like, the reservoir of potential that we all sit on is so crazy. And there have been these crazy things where you're like, hey, I have to bring in this amount of money by this date, otherwise the company is going under. And then you miraculously pull it off. I'm like, I feel like that feeling is always possible and those things are always possible. But a lot of times we need a constraint to do it. So I don't know, have you ever thought about that, like, slowness, like the way that it's just baked into society?
100%.
Yeah.
Like, if there was a car that was gonna like fall on your family,
Yeah,
and you had to like leg press it off your family, I would give you a shot to do that.
Yeah.
At least a better shot than you
yeah.
leg pressing the same weight in the gym. The point of that is, like, if you raise the stakes, I think you as a person break some of those mental barriers and allow for like extraordinary things to happen in the moment.
Yeah.
I think like there's so many things that have just been programmed into the way that we think.
Yeah.
That I'm much more convicted around the idea of being led by faith instead of led by thoughts that are just baked into kind of like what we're taught to believe.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, like, to what you're saying. I think back to there's like that famous clip that went really viral on Instagram of Tucker Carlson saying how a man will not actualize his true potential in many different ways until he becomes a father. And sometimes I wonder, like, I think there's just a fundamental degree of truthness to that statement, but I wonder, like, is there a way before you become a dad, can you get close to, like, at least close to that version of yourself, or is there something that just changes?
I think there's just something biological
that changes, like your just ability to, your need to provide for your family.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Could be wrong.
Yeah.
But we'll check back in a few years.
Your grandpa would have been a really cool guy to ask about that.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I think about like people who weren't given a pot to piss in.
Yeah.
And they just, they had kids and they realized that they needed to be more than what they currently were, and they stepped up to the occasion. If people aren't given the platform to rise to the occasion, like no stress, no pressure to do the things that they need to do. I think that's a lot of like the middle portion of America these days is kind of living in that place of, well, have enough.
Yeah.
Got food, got enough. So, life's pretty comfortable. But you can live an extraordinary life if you can tap into that. I hate the word primal, but it's like that biological feeling of just, hey, it's fight or flight, man. Get out there and make something happen.
Yeah.
I also want to provide, like, when I think about my life, I want to provide beyond just the means that, like, I want to be able to give someone something that they never thought, like, give someone a gift where they're like, why would you do that? Like, why are you helping this person in this way? Type of thing. Like, stun someone with generosity. Like, I want to get to the point of financial freedom where I'm like, I don't want a massive house. I don't want really nice things. I want to be able to be insanely generous with time and just the ways that I can like give to people.
What was that term you used? Something generosity? It was a really good term.
Totally lost.
We'll have to look back. It was a great term.
Gotta go.
That was a swift burst of inspiration right there too.
Gone. Yeah.
I think that's such a cool goal though. And I think you have to attach yourself to those dreams and visions when shit starts to get really hard, when you're like, there's 15 things that I don't want to do today. Like we talked about this one of our last solo episodes of like these motivational focal points, and sometimes the carrot, sometimes it's the stick, and both can be really impactful to you. But like remembering, like, why do I want to achieve this goal? Oh, it's for X, Y, and Z things. And like writing that on a note card or your phone, or making it readily available and baking that into your brain when you don't want to do the stuff that you're doing, that like me not doing this work is actually preventing me from being able to surprise a family member or friend with like stunning generosity.
I need to get better at writing it down. I want to, yeah. Maybe next pod we record, I'm gonna have written down the things that I want to be stunningly generous with, because yeah, I have a few in my mind that are immediately there, but it's just like being able to do things that like provide for my parents in a way where it's like, dude, you didn't have to do that, or just friends who I know might need extra generosity. Like I think that extra generosity is where people start to like people see God in the giving nature of like, dude, you did what? You helped that person out in that way? Mm-hmm. Wow. So yeah, I think it's like special being able to do that.
It really is. And having that like really honest accountability too of like, I say that I want these things. Do I really feel like the actions that I'm taking will back that goal up to turn it into existence? Or is it more of just a dream? Like that's something that's been top of mind a lot.
Yeah. I feel like during different seasons, I'm definitely like kind of like let my feet touch the grass. Like, am I being too dreamy right now? But I think the more you can live in that, like touch the clouds, dream a little bit, and then come back down and be like, okay, like got to work, got to do like all the right things. But you do need the vision. You need the vision to like see what's possible.
Yeah. And you need the action and the body of work. Yeah, it's like the perfect blend of those two things too.
Totally.
But it's like vision and dreaming is huge. Like I don't think enough people have taken a blank piece of paper and actually written out the things that they want in life. Like, how do you want to spend a day? Where do you want to live? Do you want to split time between Austin, Texas and San Diego? Do you want to have 6 kids? Do you want to have 2 kids? What do you want your wife to look like? Who do you want to look like? What do you want to do for work? How do you want to spend your time? I don't think enough of us spend time doing that. And then you just kind of get pushed what society deems you should be doing. And then you're not happy, but you never took the first step in the beginning. So obviously you just ended up living out someone else's dream.
Yeah. It makes me think of prayer, honestly. Just God doesn't want you to pray these vague, give me strength. Okay. He wants you to say exactly what you want.
Yeah.
What is it exactly that you want? You want, the house on the corner that overlooks the ocean. Ask for it. It's like no shame in asking for it. Like, just be as specific as possible in those prayers when you're asking for the things that you desire. I think our hearts can get closed off to big things just based on how the world kind of teaches us to think a little bit smaller. And I think prayer time for me recently has been trying to just like, don't feel greedy in asking for things that are amazing, or things that are, maybe big. I don't think it's a bad thing.
So you'd say your prayer styles changed last year, where you're like, there's a higher degree of specificity in terms of the things that you're praying to God about?
It's not perfect, but I try to be as mindful of that as possible. Like sometimes I'll pray out loud and I'm like, man, that was pretty vague. Like it didn't really drive. It wasn't like steered towards something specific, And I think as specific as you can possibly get is kind of how God like puts that hook in the mouth of like the goal, where it's like, I can actually get that for you because you said the exact thing that you're going for.
Yeah. I think even you recognizing that's amazing though, right? Where you're like, hey, maybe I could have been more specific with this, but the important thing is, number one, you said it out loud. And then number 2, you were aware of it too. So you can make those improvements for the next time you do that too.
Yeah, 100%. But I think even outside the context of prayer, like you did a great job of just talking about like getting really detailed in what you want in life. Like, that you can have whatever belief system you want in that context. Like, but what is it? Like, paint the picture, have the vision for your future defined in a way that's like, okay, like I want these things, and take incremental steps to get there.
Yeah.
I think now is like this insane time to live in, where if you can be focused, have a vision, and have persistence, so much can work in your favor.
Yeah.
There's really, I don't know. It's just like, I feel like the spirit of the average person is relatively weak. I don't want to be negative, but I think it's easy to outperform these days if you have that like vision and focus and like the conviction to really follow through on it.
Yeah, man. It's really interesting that there is this like cloud of darkness and pessimism around the future in general, where like why you and I are sitting in this chair, like so many of the people that we've talked to, you live in a day and age where You can literally spin up a product, talk to a manufacturer, create a Shopify landing page, cultivate an audience through social media, like shit posting almost, and you like can build an entire business doing that, like with a digital bank and all these amazing tools that are out there. It's like there have never been more tools available to turn that vision that you have into reality. And that's why it's tough. It's like I understand the pessimism, but at the same time, I don't understand how you couldn't just be like eternally optimistic about the future, just knowing how much we have available to us at our fingertips.
Yeah, totally. That was kind of my point in saying like thinking about like Churchill, Columbus, Roosevelt. Like, dude, Columbus, like, come on. Like those guys were probably having to like do the craziest stuff on that boat on the voyage across the Atlantic, and like building the boat, like comparing building that boat to building a website.
Bro, imagine building Noah's Ark. What was it, 75 years or something like that?
Yeah, 75 years.
To build an ark.
Yeah.
To last a flood.
But it's a whole different, it's a whole different it's a whole different type of hard and challenge. So yeah, I think there's like so much opportunity out there. And if you can just sharpen your sword to the point where like you can make those things that seem like challenges a lot easier, then you're already there.
Yeah.
Like you're so far ahead of most people.